Hi, I'm Hanna and welcome to this week's MASTS Cast, the weekly online update video about what's been happening in the MASTS community this week. In this week's edition, I chat to Hannah Grist, who is Head of Knowledge Exchange and Communication Manager at SRSL for SAMS, and I chat to Natalie Isaksson from UHI, who is a second year PhD student, about her recent publication. But first off, I'm not going to mention the webinars straight away. I'm actually going to mention a couple of deadlines that might be of interest to you. For those who are interested in the £500 flexible grant from the Coastal Forum, the deadline for that is the 26th of June. So please check out the link that is below this video for more information if that was something that you're considering or you would just like to find out more about that. Also, a deadline that is the 26th of June is the EPSRC Science, Engineering and Technology Board proposal that was put forward to the Imperial College University London. This was a proposal that is looking at the transition of sustainable zero pollution economy, and what they've been put forward is basically a survey that is looking at a range of stakeholders about what the challenges are in that area. So if this is a survey that you would like to complete, please check out the link below that. And also in this survey, there is an opportunity to register your interest for the workshops that will then develop the feedback that they get in these surveys. There are 3 of them. They will be happening online and they will be happening over the latter half of this summer this year. And there's a lot more information that will be provided on the link that is below this video as well. But now, webinars. The MASTS webinar this week was presented by Tanya Mendo and Dr. Mark James from the University of St Andrews, and also Mark James being the Operations Director for MASTS as well. The talk was titled Understanding Potential Impacts and Using Possible Mitigation of Bycatch in an Artisanal Shrimp Fishery in Peru. This has been uploaded to our YouTube channel, so if you weren't able to attend or you just want to check out what was discussed, please look at the link that is below this video as well for that. Next week's presenter is Dr. Declan Tobin from JNCC. That is the 24th of June, and his talk is titled, What's the Porpoise? Marine Conservation, the Species Behind the Policies. If this is a talk that interests you, please also register for this. You'll be able to participate live in the Q&A session that we have after his talk. But if you can't attend, don't worry. As always, it's recorded and uploaded to this very YouTube channel as well, to the MASTS webinar series playlist, where all our previous talks are also held. We have other talks coming up, and if any of these interest you, please register your interest at the usual registration link. We're looking for speakers on for the rest of our August slots. The 26th of August is already taken, but if there's a date and you have something that you would like to talk about that we haven't already covered, please drop us a line and we can figure out a date which works for you and also help you prep for that as well. And next is my chat with Hannah Grist, who is running a series of once a month interactive webinars that are titled Science Communication for Climate Researchers. These are being organised through the Blue Action Project, where she is involved and leading Work Package 8 about communication and dissemination. And these are more aimed at early career researchers, but it is open to anyone who wants to kind of develop those effective skills about communicating their science if they are climate researchers. And each week is hosted by a different speaker. So there's something that you can learn, a different technique from each one. And being once a month, it's super easy to fit into everyone's schedule. So I chatted to Hannah just to kind of find out a bit more about what could people expect from these webinars, who's speaking, and where did the idea to kind of form these interactive communication workshops come from?
So the kind of idea for this series of webinars actually came from some of our researchers within the project. We had a meeting last year and quite a lot of them identified that while they were really confident talking about their research, because they knew why it was exciting, and it is exciting, they maybe were missing some skills in how to engage with specific audiences and how to really make sure it had impact. And particularly for climate research, at the moment, it's obviously really topical and really important. There's a lot of interest in it from a lot of different audiences, but it can also be, I think, researchers maybe feel a little bit tentative about engaging with certain groups because, you know, it can be quite controversial and there's a lot riding on it. It's also a very complicated thing to try and share with different audiences that come at it from different perspectives. So I think there's a lot of skill involved there, and some of our researchers have recognised that actually they could do with some support from professionals and helping them to make sure their messages are effective. So we've got 6 webinars at the moment. They're all pretty short. They're supposed to be kind of introductions and really kind of like quick tips from some of the professionals, and then there's opportunities there to kind of get more engaged with different topics, different people, if that what people are interested in. The advantage of coming to the actual webinar is there's always a question and answer session at the end, which I think certainly for the last one, a lot of people found really valuable, because then they could, really target and have a chance to talk to these presenters.
Yeah, I think it's a good sets a good baseline for just techniques that people can take on board when they're just talking about their research to different audiences that might not be necessarily from the academic, with an academic background. So you've already had one webinar which was hosted with Laura Curtis-Moss, the worldwide program manager for Edinburgh Science, and she spoke about developing public outreach activities, and that's already available online for anyone to watch if they weren't able to attend or weren't aware of these series. But these webinars are just once a month, aren't they, with a different presenter each month. So not huge commitment, and you're making it all available online for anyone to catch up on, which I think is really great.
And then we've got a lot of others coming up. We've got things like designing infographics, which I think is going to be exciting, because I certainly found that's quite a skill set you need to develop, understanding graphical design principles to really get things across. And then we've also got things like the art of pitching, so how to really sell your research. And quite an exciting one on taking risks in communicating climate science. So that's about maybe stepping outside of your comfort zone. I'm not quite sure what that one's going to contain just yet, so I'm looking forward to that one as well.
There is a webinar that's happening today at 1 p.m, today being the 26th of June. So if you aren't able to attend because you didn't know about these webinars before we spoke about them, don't worry, it's going to be recorded and uploaded to the very same website that the previous session was uploaded to. So if these really interest you, just register for the next ones that are coming up. And if you are loving all these webinars that are currently happening, there's another one that I would like to advertise to you. It is being organised by the One Ocean Hub, who are being led by the University of Strathclyde, and it is titled Understanding Social Sciences at the Ocean Science Policy Interface. It's happening on the 26th of June at 3:30 till 5 p.m. And it's basically a session where audience and panellists are going to openly discuss and exchange views about how marine science and social sciences can become more integrated with a better approach for the UN Decade of Ocean Science. So if you're interested or you just want to find out a bit more and register, links for that could be found below this video as well. Next up, I chat to Natalie Isaksson, who's a second-year PhD student at UHI based at Thurso. We chat about her recent publication in Marine Pollution Bulletin. It is titled Assessing the Effects of Tidal Stream Marine Renewable Energy of Seabirds, a Conceptual Framework. I chat to Natalie to find out what does the framework include and what are the effects that she discusses.
Thanks for having me, Hannah. It's basically a review of different seabird methodologies and how to use these in the context of how tidal energy devices might affect seabirds. So basically, we looked at all these different survey methodologies, and we developed a conceptual framework to try and break down some of these effects. So the effects we're concerned about are maybe collision risk and displacement, and these are really complex, and they interact, and they've got lots of layers to them. So in order to make that a bit simpler, we put them down into these separate components, and then looked at knowledge gaps within these components, and then we looked at all the different survey methodologies that are out there and put them into context and recommend for which component of the effects they're the most useful to try and assess the effects from tidal energy devices on seabirds. So the reason why this is important is because you have marine renewables kind of on the rise, and you have seabird populations that are in decline, and where these occur in close proximity to each other, so seabird populations and places where you'd want to deploy the turbines, that's where the concern is for these effects. So for example, the UK is one of these places where that's a big concern. And in doing this, the literature review that I did for this, it was really clear that we don't know a lot about how seabirds behave or use the habitat that's right around the immediate vicinity of the turbines. So I'm talking like 100 meters around the turbines in the water column. And that's very difficult to measure, obviously. That's clear because we're in dynamic environments and things. But that's an area where there needs to be more research done, or at least data for that needs to be analyzed. And then another step is that we still don't really know what predicts seabird use of tidal stream environments. So the variables that can go into that, for example, bathymetry, and how we can use that to sort of better inform and predict how seabirds might, whether there might be conflict between seabirds and tidal energy devices.
If that is a paper that you would like to read and follow up on, the link for it is below this video. Another paper I would like to bring to your attention has been recently published, really relates to one of our previous early MASTS webinars. If you joined us for Professor Patterson's talk about ecology of oil rigs and their decommissioning, this paper is going to be of interest to you. It's been published with his colleague Irene Fortune, and it is titled Ecological Best Practice in Decommissioning, a Review of Scientific Research. It's freely available online and has been published in the IC's Journal of Marine Science. So if you enjoyed our webinar, please check out this paper as well, and a link for it is below this video as well. If you are on social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, please check out our social media pages where we share regular updates about a whole variety of information that we want to put out to our MASTS community, and also advertise what our MASTS community are up to. So if there's anything that you would like us to push out to our MASTS followers, please just let us know. You can either tag us in material or just send us an email at masts@standrews.ac.uk, and then we'll be able to help talk about that online as well to our followers. You can also feature in one of our MASTS casts, which gets sent out to all our mailing lists and on our social media too. So just drop us an email again and we'll be able to organise that with you. That leaves me to say, stay safe and have a great weekend.